After 12 years of marriage, she didn't have the courage to face me, so she sent a lawyer to my workplace, with a smug smile and a legal ambush. She gets everything, he said coldly. The house. The accounts. The kids. Full custody. Then he twisted the knife, your children don't even want your name anymore. But I didn't react the way he expected. I reached into my desk drawer, pulled out a sealed envelope I'd been saving for months, and handed it to him. Deliver this to your client. By evening, her mother was on the phone sobbing, how could you possibly have known? And that's when the real story began. Welcome to Storytelling and Beyond, the home of emotional journeys, shocking betrayals, and powerful turnarounds that reveal the human soul at its deepest. Subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss a moment that might just change the way you see life, love, and truth. It was a Thursday. Just another busy, overworked day in the office. The fluorescent lights flickered above as I reviewed the quarterly budgets with one eye on the clock. Noah's school play was that evening, and I promised I wouldn't miss it again. Then I heard the receptionist's voice behind me. Mr. Wright? There's someone here to see you. He walked in like he owned the place. Impeccably dressed in a tailored navy suit, briefcase in hand, with a smirk that said he enjoyed what he did, especially when it hurt people. Callum Wright? He asked. Yes, I replied, standing slowly. I'm here on behalf of your wife, Catherine Wright, he said, his voice dry as paper. You've officially been served. He handed me a thick folder of documents. I scanned the front page, divorce filing, claim for full custody, division of assets, all slanted her way. She's requesting full custody? I asked, stunned at the coldness. She's not requesting, he said with a crooked smile. She's asserting. You'll find she's also asking for sole ownership of the house, your joint savings, and, well, pretty much everything. Oh, and, he leaned forward, your children no longer want to carry your last name. They've asked to drop it legally. Something inside me cracked, but it wasn't panic. It wasn't rage either. It was the sound of final confirmation. I opened the drawer beside me. Pulled out the envelope. Cream-colored. Sealed with a wax stamp I had pressed myself months ago. I held it up. Looked him straight in the eye. Deliver this to your client, I said calmly. Today. He raised an eyebrow but said nothing. Took the envelope like it was just another piece of mail and turned to walk out. He didn't know it yet, but he was carrying the quiet ruin of the lies they had built. And that envelope would speak louder than anything I ever could. 12 years is long enough to build a life, or bury yourself beneath one. At first, Catherine and I had everything people dream about. A small house just outside of Portland, 2 kids, Noah and Ava, both born in the spring, when the air smells like hope. We painted the walls ourselves, took turns burning Sunday dinners, and fell asleep on the couch more times than I could count. I loved her. Completely. But love alone doesn't hold up walls when communication begins to rot the foundation. I worked hard, sometimes 14-hour days, trying to build something better, something secure. I missed family dinners, soccer games, school concerts. I told myself it was temporary. She told me she understood. But understanding can turn into distance so silently, you don't even hear the door closing. It started subtly. Long sighs when I walked in. Her phone lighting up late at night. She stopped laughing at my jokes, stopped asking about my day. I thought maybe she was tired. Maybe it was just a phase. Then came the passwords. New ones. Changed without a word. I noticed her disappearing on weekends under the pretense of yoga retreats or solo reflection time. I knew something was off the day I called her hotel and they said she'd never checked in. That same weekend, Ava had a fever, and Catherine didn't answer her phone until the next morning. I didn't confront her, not right away. Instead, I did what I always do. I took the quiet route. I began documenting. Receipts. GPS logs. Days when her story didn't match the bank statement. I hired someone discreet, a private investigator named Jenna who had worked for corporate firms before she found her calling exposing affairs in the suburbs. In just 4 weeks, Jenna handed me the proof. Catherine had been seeing a man named David for nearly a year. Pictures of the two of them, laughing at dinners, kissing outside hotels. Even messages that made my chest tighten. And yet, I still didn't expose her. Not then. Not even when I wanted to scream. I watched her come home with grocery bags and plastic smiles. I watched her hug our children while texting him from her coat pocket. I didn't stop being a father. I went to Noah's piano lessons. Ava's art fairs. I read bedtime stories even though my voice cracked. But I stopped being a husband, because my wife had already left, in every way that counted. So I began writing something else. A letter. A carefully worded account of the years we spent together, what I gave up, what I endured, and how she stepped out of the marriage long before the lawyer ever showed up. I collected everything Jenna had found, organized it, and sealed it with quiet dignity. Not to shame her, but to remind her who I was. The envelope wasn't vengeance. It was clarity. And when her lawyer left my office that day, he carried with him more than just legal documents. He carried the weight of a story she tried to rewrite, only now, the truth was out there, waiting to be read. That evening, as the city lights blinked awake beyond my apartment window, my phone started buzzing. Unknown number. I ignored it. It buzzed again. Then a third time. Something in my gut told me to answer. The voice on the other end wasn't Catherine's, it was her mother's. A woman who had never quite warmed up to me, always subtly picking at my income, my background, my long work hours. But tonight, her voice was trembling. "Callum," she whispered, almost breathless. How could you have known?" There was silence between us. A kind that carried 1,000 truths. She broke it with a sob. She just opened the envelope. The photos, the messages. My God, she lied to all of us. To me. To the children. You gave her 12 good years. And this is what she did behind your back. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. My heart felt like a dam barely holding. She told me you were cold. That you shut her out. She made you the villain, and I believed her. I nodded, even though she couldn't see. I know. She's been crying since she saw the evidence. She's humiliated. But Callum, she's more ashamed than I've ever seen her. And I am too. After we hung up, I sat in the dark for a long while. No TV. No music. Just the echo of years of silence finally breaking. Then, at 9:43 p.m., Catherine called. I let it go to voicemail. I wasn't ready. But curiosity won after a few minutes. I pressed play. Her voice was shaky, brittle. I don't know how you found out. About David. About the retreats. I guess part of me hoped you wouldn't. That if I pushed you hard enough, you'd just leave, and I wouldn't have to face my own guilt. I was angry, Callum. You were always working, and I felt invisible. I wanted to feel something again, and I found it somewhere else. But I never wanted to destroy you. Another pause. A sigh. When I told the kids you'd been served, they looked confused, not relieved. They thought you'd done something wrong. But they don't know what I did, not yet. And I don't know how to tell them. There it was. The confession I'd waited a year to hear. And yet, it didn't feel like victory. Just grief. For the version of us we used to be. I didn't respond that night. I didn't call her back. But I saved the voicemail. Not to hurt her later, but to remind myself I hadn't imagined everything. That my silence, my patience, my dignity, had spoken louder than shouting ever could. I never wanted to expose her. I wanted her to look in the mirror and finally see herself clearly. And now she had. A month passed. Not in a blur, but in slow, quiet days filled with the small, deliberate rituals of rebuilding. The divorce proceedings resumed, but this time, the tone had changed. Catherine's lawyer no longer entered the room with arrogance. He sat stiffly, read every line with caution, and glanced at her frequently, like someone afraid of what else I might be holding back. She didn't speak much during the mediation. She kept her eyes low, her hands folded in her lap. But when she did speak, it was with a softness that hadn't been there before. "I'm not contesting shared custody," she said. "The children deserve both of us. The house would be sold and the profits split. The savings accounts redistributed. The children's names would stay the same. There were no loud arguments, no insults. Just the quiet dismantling of what was once a shared life." After signing the papers, I walked out into the spring sunlight, took a deep breath, and realized I felt lighter. Not victorious. Not broken. Just free. I moved into a modest apartment not far from the kids' school. A place with cracked windows and creaky floorboards, but filled with the sounds of Noah practicing piano and Ava asking endless questions about the stars. They came over every weekend. At first, everything was tentative. Ava clung to her backpack like a shield. Noah kept checking his phone, unsure what to say. But I didn't push. I just showed up. Made breakfast. Sat beside them on the couch. The first time they laughed, really laughed, was when I burned the pancakes and tried to flip one using a spoon. Ava snorted so loud she nearly fell off her chair. Noah took a picture and set it as my contact photo in his phone. That Sunday, after Ava fell asleep with her head on my chest, Noah looked over and whispered, "Why didn't you fight Mom? Like, yell and stuff?" I smiled. Because sometimes, Noah, silence speaks louder than shouting. And I wanted you both to see the truth, not the anger. He nodded slowly. "I'm glad you stayed. I missed you, Dad." Those words undid me more than anything Catherine ever said. A week later, she stopped by to drop off Ava's sketchbook. We stood in the doorway, awkward and unsure. Her eyes flicked past me into the apartment, where the kids were laughing over a card game. "You've built something good here," she said quietly. "Better than I ever gave you credit for." "I didn't do it alone," I replied. "They built it with me." She nodded, eyes shining with something halfway between sorrow and respect. She didn't ask for forgiveness. I didn't offer it. But in that silence, there was peace. Months passed. Seasons changed. One Saturday, I woke up to the smell of burnt toast. The kids had tried to surprise me with breakfast in bed. The eggs were rubbery, the juice was warm, and it was the best meal of my life. Later, as we lay on the couch in a pile of blankets, Ava asked, "Do you ever miss being married?" I thought about it. Thought about all the years I spent trying to hold something together that had already let go of me. "I miss who I thought we were," I said softly. "But I don't miss being invisible." She rested her head against my shoulder and whispered, "You're not invisible now." And in that moment, I realized that I hadn't lost a family, I'd reclaimed one. Not in the courtroom. Not with evidence. But by refusing to become bitter, and choosing, every single day, to be present. Because sometimes, the quietest kind of strength is the one that just keeps showing up. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to Storytelling and Beyond and hit the bell so you never miss another journey of heartbreak, healing, and hope.